We're going to get started. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Willie Miles. I'm the president of Dr. Willie Miles Children's Foundation, located in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, I want to thank you all for always being just wonderful to us, faithful followers, and showing up every week for these kinds of meetings, these kinds of social awareness. We call it Let's Talk About It. But before I get into tonight's program, I do want to thank you all, those of you who are sending in donations. We really appreciate that. I'll share with you, your donations are going to a just and a great cause. I also want to thank those of you all who have supported us historically. We know that it's pandemic, some people are not working, but your funds coming in helps us to keep this live stream alive and to keep our work alive. Last week I made some announcements about the clothing that we'll start doing hopefully in October. There's a major store that has said they'll give us all their surplus clothing as long as we don't sell it. So our goal is not to sell it. Our goal is to help those people who need the help, I do want to announce also that some of you all may have received announcements regarding our t-shirt sales, and I'll share with you, we're not like some places that are going to sell potato pies to make it. That is not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that you are part of the social justice campaign, and we felt it very necessary to do the social justice campaign to make people aware of our beginnings, to make them aware of why we're here, and not only why we're here, but the importance and the significance of us being here. So I'm going to ask you all to support us in one way by going to Bonfire and purchasing those t-shirts. There are three of them, and one is called I Am Black, My Life Matters. The other is They Are Black, Their Lives Matter, and one deals with social justice. We will also have something on our website very soon that gives some alternative ways of actually purchasing those t-shirts. So we're very excited about it. Well, the campaign only lasts for 30 days, but the shirt's going to be on sale forever, hopefully. Again, I'm not trying to do a trend thing. I'm really trying to make send a very sound message to the community that we're here to stay, and we need your support. And the way you can be a part of us is not just by listening to us every week, but actually supporting us. And of course, we have our guest back by popular demand. Of course, you all said you want to see him again this week, so I've asked him to come back, and he agreed last week to be here. Very, very busy. So Sebastian, why don't you introduce yourself and tell what you're doing so our audience can know you better.
Hey, welcome back everyone again. I am the Sebastian Alexander. I am an entrepreneur here in North Newark, New Jersey. I am a photographer, graphic designer, web designer, all of those things within the artistic world. And I am also a LGBTQIA advocate and HIV/AIDS advocate for my community, the African American people of color community, when it comes down to that. So that is kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay, great. Again, welcome. I thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. I know you're very, very busy, and you could be making some money right now. So I understand that. So again, I appreciate you, and I don't take you for granted. But I do want to share, I didn't share this with you, Sebastian, because it was kind of interesting. Last week when we had our show, I had a lot of conversations off camera. My phone kept the texts start coming in about how wonderful this is and so forth. But I just want to set one thing clear. I've been getting some not positive feedback from some people. They think we're talking about supporting or trying to help people be gay. They miss this whole thing altogether. They miss what this program is about altogether. Our goal was that there are many, our focus was that there are many children who are gay and they tell their parents, and their parents want to kick them out. Those same children then become suicidal. So the goal was to stop children from killing themselves. And so if that is a problem for some of you all, tough on you. That's going to be your issue, because I'm not going to deal with that piece of it. Our goal is to stop children, human beings, from killing themselves because parents reject, refuse, and so forth. So it's not our objective to have parents say, oh, we're pushing a gay agenda. That is not what we're doing. However, we support everyone, regardless of what they choose to be. So I want to, Sebastian, I want to throw that out there, first of all. And then some people start texting me about God, and I'm saying, wait a minute, where'd that come from? I'm in ministry, so you can't, I know a little about Bible. So my whole point is that they missed the whole purpose. They missed the whole purpose of why we're here. And the reason Sebastian is here to talk about a personal experience. For those who misunderstood, guess what? For those of you who are trolls who came on and talk about, well, whether gay is right or wrong, this is not the forum. This is not what we're talking about. Our forum is talking about what children experience. And I talk about that from a therapeutic perspective. I'm a therapist, so therefore that's where I'm coming from. And I thought Sebastian did a great job. Evidently he did, because the guests invited him back. And I'm saying our guests are our audience is kind of tough. They don't invite everybody back. We've only had one guest invited back for a part 2, and that was Dr. Sharon Brown, when she talked about sex trafficking. So at this point, Sebastian, I'm ready to get started. We're going to bring people up from where we were last week. Last week we had a very fluid discussion. So do you mind just, Sebastian, talk about like some of the things we discussed last week?
Okay, so you're asking me to remember almost what I had for lunch.
Well,
okay.
One of the things we talked about was how parents sometimes think they're doing well by telling children, you can be this way, but not in my house. And our question to them is like, but you said that when the child was born, that children are God's greatest gift, and all of a sudden they're to be thrown away. We talked about also the influence that environment has on whether children are gay or not, and or if it has an influence on it. We talked about how do children become this way? Is it something innate, or is it it's a trend? So our goal was to educate you on that. So again, what I want to do, I'm going to bring up some questions from last week, just to sort of bring everybody up to date in case we have some new viewers tonight. Talking about this issue of children who confess to their parents that they're gay, and then the parents take this turnabout that says, I don't hate anybody, but my daughter is not going to be gay. So Sebastian, if you can, you want to just respond to that a little bit?
I mean, you have no choice. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. If your son or daughter comes to you and feels confident, if that is the case, sometimes it is bullied out of them or pressured, or in this case that we're talking about, it's okay if you tell me I'm your mom, I'm your dad, and then when you do, it's a complete 180. But you can't control if they are going to be straight or gay. That is not your choice. And by making a stance that my son is not going to be gay, my daughter is not going to be gay, you are putting a lot of pressure on them to be something that they are not. And in return, that is depression, that is suicide, that is living on the DL, that is someone that is married for 20 years, having the children, having all that, but all of a sudden out of the blue, they get divorced, and then they're with who they really want to be with. So it's not taking that road, but ultimately it's not your choice. If your son or daughter is gay, I'm not even going to say decides to be gay, because no one decides to be straight. It is what it is. So if they feel within themselves that this is who they are, you have no control over that. That is just innately who they are.
I love hearing you talk, because you actually bring out some great points that I don't think about. And that is, no one decides to be heterosexual. It's not like, okay, I'm going to be heterosexual, because if you have to make that decision, that means you're questioning your own sexuality. So yeah. I want our parents and our audience to understand that children being gay is not a phenomenon. It's been around for not just children, but people. Been around for years. Been around for years. But nowadays, it's very normal, for lack of better words, normalcy, and people are talking about it because it's more accepted. It's more accepted. You brought up a very good point, and I want to share an experience. I have a client, and having problems with mom because he is gay. He's 10 years old, and a real big deal was made of that situation. A big deal was made of it. So I talked to the child, and I said, well, how are things going? He said, things are fine. I said, things are fine? He said, yeah, things are just fine. I said, well, they're fine because you're trying to make peace in the house, right? So he nods his head, yes. He said, you're very disappointed, aren't you? He nodded his head, yes. He said, you're not trusting your parents, are you? He said, no. I then said, well, what normally happens when children then adjust to the parents' request, they understand that they're in the parents' house. So therefore, they must do what the parents say do. But the parent then says, well, guess what? See, I told y'all he didn't know what he was going to do. the child then grows up resenting the parent. He gets older, he starts resenting the parent for what the parent forced him to do and not to accept him or her as they are, So the question is, what's the whole point of this? My point is to make the community more aware of what children go through when they share their sexual identity, when they share what they're planning to do with their lives from a gender perspective. And I think, Sebastian, some people say, well, guess what? It is a choice because you're born with your sexual parts and your gender you decide. Comments on that?
See, I don't want to. I don't want to negate anyone's experience, first and foremost. So I am a particular gay. I am a gay from a different era. Even though I'm 39, almost 40, I'm a part of the community when it was just LGBT. Now there are so many different acronyms that go along with it about, being gender fluid and pansexual and all, asexual. There are so many facets now that has come within the LGBT community. I don't want to minimalize someone else's experience or
Right.
what they think or believe to be true for them. So for me, it was not a choice for me to be gay. I knew that I was different, per se, different from the people that I hung around, different from the boys in my community, different from men that I saw in my family, and then even innately within me internally, I felt different. So it wasn't like, there was a battle on the inside. Am I gay? Am I straight? I think a lot of the battle, or what people call the choice, that you choose to be gay is exactly what you were talking about when it comes down to pressures of society, pressures of family,
Exactly.
To where it's like, well, I know I'm gay, but to appease mom and dad, to appease society, because we know what it is to be a person of color, or, it's tough being black. It's tough being a black male, but then you want to add gay on top of it. All of these things that we are taught. So I don't think that is where we know it's not a choice, but how it is perceived when you have these three things or these things forced upon you. Now you are making a decision, not if I'm going to be straight or gay, but if I'm going to tell the truth or tell a lie.
Good point.
That is what the choice is. Because, okay, I'm going to put on this straight looking facade and be that yo, my whatever, or be the hyper masculine male, or be the player, or be whatever the stereotype is. For a black man, an African American man, person of color, because we don't want to deal or are afraid to, or those pressures of being gay. So again, it's not a choice of am I straight, am I gay? It's more of a choice is am I going to tell the truth or am I going to tell a lie?
What's kind of interesting is that when you talk about people I'm going to use the word children start saying, well, guess what? I'll accept what my parents say. That's where the anxiety comes in. That's when I start treating them for anxiety, when I start treating them for panic behaviors, when I start treating them for hallucinations and psychosis, when I start treating them for then attempted suicide. So when they start holding in all these things, and it gets confusing as to who I am. I gotta please mom. I gotta please me. And oftentimes parents will say, you're too young. You don't know about all that stuff. You're too young to have all those feelings and emotions. But I'm saying they're human. And our children are a little bit more mature than they used to be. They do research. They understand. And before the child normally tells you they're gay, guess what? They've already went through this cycle of am I not? And when they tell you, they've already made the decision. But then we have some who believe that once the child tells me, guess what? I'll tell him that, I'm going to help him out, Sebastian. I'm going to tell him that all the things he has to go through so he can't choose to be that. I'm going to tell him, like you just said, you're already a black male. The whole world's against you. right now you cry when I talk to you. So how are you going to deal with people laughing at you? Mm. You want to respond to that? The parent, in other
The,
words, go on.
the greatest job of a parent is to nurture and support the child. We, as the LGBTQIA community, we're not asking you to go out and buy me a new purse. We're not asking you to go out and help me find a mate. We're not asking you to go out and do anything, take me to the next Pride March. We are asking that you are to love and support us. You don't have to always agree, but your job as a parent is to love and support. So if I come to you, be it willingly or unwillingly or bullied or whatever the case may be, and I have enough courage to say, this is what I'm feeling. Because sometimes, it, it, this is a different generation. And I guess I can only speak for my generation to where, when I was growing up, you didn't see men kissing on TV. You didn't even see that on the late night HBO shows.
Mhm.
That was not the norm. So now where it is the norm to see lesbian or same gender loving relationships on television, we do know that representation matters. It's a kind of different generation. So they're able to understand what they're feeling internally and see what they're feeling internally on the screen
Mhm.
and in public at the Starbucks, at the grocery store. So they are cognitively aware of what is going on. For someone like me, where it was not shown, you didn't readily see two men walking down the street holding hands, two black men walking down the streets holding hands. There was a lot of I don't want to say undercover, but underground
Mhm.
knowledge that
Mhm.
had to happen, and taking a slight segue, and that is what the importance of gay families were. And I don't want to go on that tangent, but there are those that are like myself that are a part. I have my biological family, the family in which I was born into, but then I also have my alternative or gay family. When we've seen this in hit documentaries, if y'all have not seen it, like Paris is Burning, Pose season
Mhm.
1, 2, and I'm anticipating season 3 as of right now. That shows the importance of alternative or gay families in rearing and raising the youth that has been displaced by their biological family.
Mhm.
So for me, I had um, that knowledge base that what my biological family could not or was not willing to share, that love, adoration, support. I got that from my gay father, my gay mother, my gay brothers,
Mhm.
and in return, now I have gay children
Mhm.
that I foster, love, support, come to as a mentor, advice, all of those things. But again, I don't want to go back and demean anyone's experience, but I'm coming from a particular age bracket.
Mhm.
I'm coming from a particular experience, from a particular time. But I can say it does my heart good to see people like me being represented on the main screen and the small screen.
It's amazing. You said it actually dates you or predates you. I'm going to share with you, but at this point, it's happening right today because what you just said, this young man is actually experiencing. The parents wants to know, why do you not want to be at home? Why is it you don't want to be with us? And he discloses to me that the reason I want to be around you because at home I have to pretend that I'm straight. When I'm around my friends at their house, their homes, then I can be myself. And so I talked to parents. I said, well, do you realize what you're doing? You're telling him that you want him to be straight in your house, but he doesn't want to be there all the time. He prefers being down the street. So you're trying to figure out why is he down the street at somebody else's house. The problem we have, though, is that parents, because these are minors, control the youth.
Mm-hmm.
The parent then says they won't be your friend anymore. And all the parent is doing is pushing that child to lie, speak out, and find alternative mental compensation for what the parents are not giving them.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is a very serious issue. I share with parents that guess what? You can't lock up their gayness. You can't lock it up and you can't control it. they will find a way to be around people who support them. And guess what? It's just human behavior. We will flock to people who emotionally support us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not surprising. So the whole idea, the whole conversation is about parents. We're asking you to be, not even ask, we're informing you about what children go through, so that if you have a child who has disclosed this important benchmark in their life, and then you do the, well, not at my house, or you do that, oh, that's a sinful and we are praying family, or you do the, well, guess what? Ain't none of my sons gonna be that way. Well, then there's a problem. And what happens, you're then emotionally destroying the child and you're causing mental health issues. And then you bring them to me and ask me what the problem is. You bring those same children to me and say, no, why is he this way? Why is he so angry? Why does he cuss me out? Why is he banging the walls? Why is he doing? I'm saying, well, because those are ways to release pressure. And those are ways to be oppositional. Because you're the parent, you're still responsible to age 18. The question is, will that child stay with you till age 18? Just think about yourself. Who wants to be controlled? No one wants to be. Go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, no one wants to be controlled. And true enough, when it comes down to, I fervently believe in I pay the cost to be the boss. That's why I live alone. I don't have roommates. I live in my own space. So when I come in and I flip the switch and the lights are on, I know I paid my bill. If I put some food in the refrigerator, I know I come back, it's still there. So we're not negating that this is your house. We are not negating that this is your rules. But what we are, as a child, what we are asking for is that you see me. And don't put, I don't want to say don't put rules in place that are going to stifle me. The rules that should be there should be there, of course, to protect me. No harm or danger. I get that. But also not to make me feel that I don't want to be here, that I don't want to be in this space, that I don't trust my parents, that I don't trust my family, or it is awkward, or that I feel that there's harm in my family. Because we're talking about the rules, which is, the rules and how families talk. But then there's also another section to where there is harm that comes to children because of, how mannerisms,
Right.
how, they feel that there is a certain way that a boy should act, all of these societal norms that are placed on us. And when we don't fit in this line or in this box, then there's an issue. And so we're going to do things if that means, okay, beating the child or whooping the child and, man up and all of these curriculums that, things that, especially men, African-American men say to their boy child, it tends to break their self-esteem, break their confidence. They don't trust you. They not just trust you, they don't trust men that are like you. And so that creates a whole, I guess, downward spiral of how they look at life and how they look at men, or men figure father-like figures. So we're not negating the rules within your house, but again, the job of a parent is to nurture and support that child. Give them the knowledge. Okay, son, if you feel that you are gay, this is what you should know, not to scare them. And I think that's where a lot of parents make the mistake, like my mother did. Okay, oh, you're gay, so you're immediately going to catch HIV and AIDS and die. I'm not burying my son. What you want me to do? Take you down to the AIDS? All of these things that we have
Trauma.
been taught or ways to pass. I don't know. I don't want to say generationally, but things that have just kind of been spewed from parents. It affects the child, and a child not having I don't want to say the emotional capacity to put these things where they belong. As we get older, we learn how to deal with our emotions. Most of us learn how to deal with our emotions. But as a child, when you have the person that is supposed to love you, take care of you, support you, be your ride or die, all of that good stuff to just literally turn their back on you. How do I, as a child, how do I process this?
Right.
And that's where the suicides and the cutting and the running away and all of these things come in, because they are not mentally and emotionally equipped to deal and to deal with these feelings.
What's so interesting about that is that you're absolutely, well, not interesting about that, you're absolutely correct in everything you just said. And the comment is how the children process information developmentally. If a 10-year-old shares the situation with you, and you begin talking about all these horror stories, well, guess what? Developmentally, what are you doing to him? Well, you're instilling fear, first of all. And really, I'm gonna tell you, you're really causing trauma. And I see this over and over again. What's so interesting is that I had one parent who decided that she would choose her son's straight friend so they could be straight. Well, the client reports that the straight friend that she chose for him was the first guy he slept with. So I'm telling parents, you can't choose because he looks great. I want my son to be like a football player, so I'm gonna have him deal with football players. Yes.
That I was raising my hand in testimony, because again, for me, that is me. I anyone that I guess knows, I guess if you get to know me, you're like, oh yeah, he look gay. But when you see me, I am 6'4.5", 6'5", 200 and I lost some weight. Thank you, Lord. 276 pounds. So I normally I carry a mean face, and I'm gonna go back to tell you why I carry a mean face all the time. But when you look at me, I don't look gay when you first see me. And so you can't put someone's straightness or gayness in a box to where, oh, he switches when he walks. Oh, so he must be gay. Oh, he plays football, or he's a rapper, so he has to be straight. You can't put people in that box, because I know a lot. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot. I know a few effeminate men that are naturally effeminate, but as straight as the day is long. Have kids, have a loving wife, and it's not like, he's trying to hide, trying to butcher. That is just his personality. Right. So you can't say, well, my son is a little feminine, or, we say he's a little sweet, these acronyms in our community. To match him, I'm gonna put him. I played football, and it did nothing for me. It just made me want to date guys that played football. So I mean,
what's very interesting, and also is that parents, I think their resistance to this is they're trying to figure out, now, how do I raise a gay child? And the answer is, you raise them like you raise a regular child. There's no difference. And what I've seen in practice, Sebastian, is that parents think that they should allow their children they should be more permissive with a gay child. For instance, if the child is 10 years old, oh, he's gay, so that's why he goes out every night. And I'm saying, no, the same rules apply. The child just lets you know his sexuality. It doesn't mean the rules change in the household. So would you let a straight 10-year-old child go out at 9:30? Or would you let a straight 10-year-old child have an adult friend? It's just, it's out of fear. It's out of fear. And I'm saying that there's no magic potion for raising a gay child, just like there's no magic portion for raising a heterosexual child. Now, what is happening is that we have some guidelines. All human beings need rules. All human beings need guidance. We like that. That helps us, form our days. That helps us get through the day. So when you're talking about raising a gay child, you're not raising him to be gay. What you're doing, because gayness is not the total embodiment of the child's life. It's not the total embodiment. There are a whole lot of other pieces. And parents, I would share with you, the most cardinal sin you could have is, don't assume that someone looks straight, so therefore they are straight. So therefore you want to match them up so they can make your son tougher. Bad mistake, bad mistake, bad mistake. And the child knows, guess what? Children know the ones who are. And they're not going to say a word to you. But there's also an assumption, Sebastian, it's amazing to me. It's an assumption that a 10-year-old is having sex. I said, well, why would you assume that? This child is he's not having sex. He just talked about how he identifies.
But these are one of the things that often come to the LGBTQIA community when we're talking about I identify as gay, I identify as trans, I identify or whatever I identify. It automatically goes to the genitals. It automatically, oh, you're having sex. I'm just telling you, this is how I identify as a black gay male. That is it. It ain't none of your business about what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with. I'm just telling you this. So I think for parents, if a child is bold enough, has the courage enough to say, Mommy, Daddy, this is who I identify as in this moment, in this time, love and support them. Women, you identify as a blonde on Monday, you identify as a brunette on Tuesday, you identify as, a redhead on Wednesday. That's perfect. That's your prerogative in that regards to identify. If someone comes to you and say, okay, my name is, you get married, right? Man, woman. You get married. Your name was Miss Jones. Now you Miss Smith. You identify as what? Miss Smith. That is who you identify as. You don't want anybody to disrespect you and call you another name. Or you could have been Mrs. Jones. Your ex-husband was whatever. He wasn't the best. Now you married to a good man. And when somebody calls you Mrs. Jones, you say, no, my name is Mrs. Smith. But if they continue to call you Mrs. Jones, you're going to feel some kind of way about that, right? You're going to continue to feel, no, my name is Mrs. Smith. That's my old husband. He beat me up, did all kinds of bad things, but I'm not I am Mrs. Smith now. So if I come to you and say, I'm gay, accept me for what I am accepted at face value. That's all we're asking you to do. At face value, I am gay. You don't try to have to fix me. You don't have to pray it away. You don't have to put fear inside it. Just accept it at face value. And once you accept it at face value, everything else will kind of fall from there. We're not asking you as a child to a parent to know everything. My mother got pregnant with me at 14. Pregnant at 14, the running joke is kind of like birthday sex. My mother's birthday is in January. I was born in October. You do the math. So she got pregnant at 14, had me at 14. My mama made a lot of mistakes, including kicking me out of the house. But again, my mother was 14. Now, is this the norm? I pray to God not.
Right.
I pray to God not. But we are not asking parents to be Christ Almighty and not make any mistakes. What we're asking you to do is what you do is lead in love. Lead in love for your children. The rules that you place is based on, majority of the rules I'm hoping, is based out of love. You want them to be safe. You want them to be productive societal individuals. You want them to be responsible. So the rules that are put in place I am assuming are based in love. But when you start doing, you're going to hell, God ain't pleased, who gonna take you, you gonna catch HIV, that's not leading in love. Explain to me, how is that leading in love? The child is simply saying, Mommy, Daddy, Grandpa, Grandma, this is who I am. That is it. That is it. And then from there, to me, it's up to the parent to find help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Right.
Nothing wrong. If you don't know nothing about being, there's LGBTQIA centers. Everybody knows somebody gay. No matter if you don't want to acknowledge it or not, everybody knows somebody that is gay, be it a man or a woman. Reach out for help, for questions. How did you feel when this happened to you? To get some kind of knowledge base so you're not shooting, in the dark.
But the worst thing that a parent can do, I think, in these kind of situations is when we get in trouble in the house, when things start going wrong, we go to, don't we?
The Bible.
We go to the church,
And they screwed up too.
then she takes him to the pastor, and the pastor wants to lay hands on him and pray this demon out of him. Now, where I was headed with this, before I give that example, is how difficult is it for a child to disclose this to the parent? Does a child just all of a sudden wake up and say, okay, I'm going to go and tell mama right now that I'm gay? Or do you think they've given months and sometimes years of thought to this?
No, see, okay, so, okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to form it. Coming out is not a black thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the easiest way I can say that. This is no disrespect to our Caucasian counterparts by any means. But what African American, especially African American men, are the pressures that are placed on us. Coming out is not a story that we can tell that we had a positive coming out moment, that I decided that I was going to go to my mom or to my dad and come out. That's not traditionally our story. Hopefully that will become our story as time progresses, to where children are in a comfortable environment, in a protective environment, to where they can feel like that. But traditionally, our coming out story is something traumatic. It is, mama caught me doing something, mama caught me watching something, somebody told my mama something, they saw me somewhere with somebody I wasn't supposed to be with. It is never a positive experience. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was want to share that it's not easy for them. So they're not just saying, one day I'm gay, now I'm going to tell mama. And mom and dad, if they've given some thought to it, they watch how you react to other situations. They look at your attitude and how you treat people, and whether or not you're going to be explosive, whether or not you're going to hit them. And that's why many of these children keep all of these emotions internally until they explode. And there you are, and we've seen this over and over again. There we see you then at the psych ward or at the mental hospital trying to figure out, how did my child get here? And oftentimes, guess what? The child's not even told you what he's going through. He just starts cutting wrists. And you start saying, well, what's going on with him? And the child's been giving you signals all along. The whole purpose of this, to me, is to make sure that parents understand that there's support out there for you. No one's saying, oh, you ought to be embarrassed. A lot of parents are embarrassed, but I just couldn't be embarrassed for what my child chose to be. I mean, I have a responsibility to raise him or her the best I can, but at the end of the day, they have a mind. And with their mind, they can decide, they're thinkers, their cognition is on, so they have internet to do research. They actually question themselves before they actually share with parents. So when they share with parents, they're not questioning anymore.
No, I agree.
They're not questioning anymore. It is, this is who I am. And when the child shares it with you, guess what? It is very emotional for them, very emotional. And your response is critically important, your supportive response. And the response ought to be, I love you. And let it go. Let it go. And then later on have conversations if you choose to. But the fear thing, you're going to hell, not in my house, I hate gay people. There's some parents who told the child they hate gay people. So what you're saying is that then you hate me. Are you with me? That's how the That's how the child processes. So they said, if you hate me, why should I be here with you? It's the whole phenomena, not really phenomena, of this children deciding or looking at their gayness is really one that is very, very, it's interesting. But it's more interesting because parents see the child as a reflection of themselves, and they see their gayness as an inadequacy on themselves. I don't know how they got all that. I don't know how they got all that on them. Go on.
Listen, what for me the greatest takeaway from tonight's conversation is, one, lead in love for your children, protect your children, but also be cognitively aware of what you do and how you treat children will determine how they treat you for the rest of their life.
Very true.
That is, and I know we're talking about kids, which is,
Mm-hmm.
the important aspect, but all children grow up. All children they grow up, they come with their own, they form their own mindsets, and they're able to see where mommy and daddy fell short.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to see that mommy and daddy is just human. And they're also able to see that mommy and daddy did me a great disservice
Mm-hmm.
in the way how I act, how I present myself, how I trust people, how I present myself to to the world.
Right.
I want to go back just for a moment when I was talking about how I keep a mean face on my face all the time. So when I told my mother that I was gay, and again, I told her, but it was not like, hey, mommy, I'm gay. It was more of a loving bully situation. But as I said last week, I was the child that literally I was a child that cried at the drop of a dime. Child that cried at the drop of a dime, did everything to make mommy and my grandmother happy. No matter if I didn't want to do it or not, I did whatever they wanted me to do, wore whatever they wanted me to wear, just to make them happy. When all of the S hit the fan when I was 17, I came up with and I'm not going to cuss, but I call it the I can give an F attitude, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has hindered me and protected me in several situations or throughout my life. When I came up with that attitude, when I saw how my mother treated me, how she kicked me out and discarded me, and I ended up living with my grandmother. And I know my grandmother loves me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's my grandmother. She's my mother. But my grandmother is also a holy roller. And I knew that she took me in partly because that she loved me, but my family is somewhat affluent, I guess, in Tallahassee, where I'm from, and I know that she took me in because she didn't want people talking. So and so grandson, he out there on the street, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful that she took me in, but I know that those two to be factual. And so I came up with the I can give an F attitude. And it is literally, if you like me, great. If you don't, I can give an F. And what it has done, it has hardened me with my family. Like, I love my family, don't want nothing to happen to them, but it has very much changed my perception of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother and I, we have a great relationship now. But again, I came out when I was 17, and I'm 39 years old now. That's what, 20 plus years later. And it was a progress to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother still to this day does not quite understand why I don't like coming home.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
To this day, I moved away from home about 6 years ago, and I go home maybe once every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Once every 2 years. And if it's a funeral, it got to be somebody I care about. If not, I'm going to send a peace lily. I just don't like going home.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is because of how I was treated as a child.
Right.
How I was not nurtured.
Right.
And I say fed. I'm not saying fed as in food, but fed as an emotional support.
Exactly.
All of those things. So please be mindful, parents, that yes, you think you're trying to protect your child and you're using this fear tactic. You're going to wonder 20 years from now why your child does not fool with you.
Right.
Why they don't want to be around you. I'm not saying that's the case about my mom, because again, we have a great relationship now.
Mm-hmm.
But some kids are like, that's my mama, I love her, but she can stay over there.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's my dad and my grandpa. And it's a shame that there are so many torn relationships like that. But it is because of the things that parents have done to children, or what they were done. So that, I guess, that is my greatest takeaway. Is just please be mindful of how you treat them, because you're gonna get old one day and you're gonna want your kids around your bedside and yada yada yada. But a lot of them are gonna be like, I love my mama, but again, she can stay over there. And a lot of stuff, sometimes people say time heals all things.
All right.
That is not always the case. Not always the case. So, yeah.
Yes, Sebastian, it's kind of interesting tonight. It's been very quiet out there. It's been very quiet. No one has given us any questions or any comments. We're going to open up for some questions and comments now, if you have
Oh,
any.
I've been looking.
Just type those in. If you have any questions or comments regarding the topic. Again, it's about children who tell their parents that they're gay at any age, and the parents want to kick them out. Sebastian was 17 years old, but I'm talking about some 10-year-olds, some 11-year-olds, and some 13-year-olds. Some 13-year-olds that parents are saying, not in my house, not in my house. I'll ask this question, the comment, I'll make this comment. What about the dad who says, see, I knew he was going to be gay because he hung around you all the time. He hung around his mama.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of societal norm crap that happens within the black family. Again, if boys hang out with their mamas, there is nothing wrong with that. The fact of the matter is, a lot of y'all daddies ain't about crap. If you were around, see, daddies can have babies and walk away. Daddies can have babies with whomever they want, pick up their bag and walk away, and that's the, I guess, the joy or the privilege of being a man. You can spread your seed and be like, oh yeah, that's my son, but don't do no kind of son, dad and son relationship building, no hanging out with your son. I'm sure your son would like to hang out with you if you were around. So if you're not there and he hanging out with mama and Mima and Big Mama and them, that's because that is who is there.
Mm-hmm.
That is who is there. So if you have issues that your son is hanging out with Mama, Big Mama, Mima, how about you come into the picture? How about you take your son camping? You take your son bowling. You take your son fishing. Don't go with the societal norms because, oh, well, if he's with him, that's why he got to switch in his walk and that's why he's gay. No. He's with them because these are the people that are watching him, that are rearing him, that are hopefully loving and taking care of him and providing for him while you out dilly-dallying doing what you want to do. So to me personally, don't come to me with that he-man, woman-hater kind of mentality that because he is with the women, this is why he is this way. You show up, you the daddy, you 50% of them, you do your job for your son and show him what hopefully, and I hate using the term real man because people use the term real man very loosely and very wrong, but show him what a man should be.
Our time is running on. I'll make some more comments. How about this? But can you beat the gayness out of them?
No, my mama tried, and I'm still assisting. So, no, you cannot beat the gay out of your children. I mean, I know I got whippings for stuff that I legitimately deserved. I know I did. But there were some things like, okay, I ate the last Oreo. This beating is a little too severe for an Oreo cookie. So I knew there were other things that stemmed with that or whatnot. But it doesn't work because, again, all it is doing is creating resentment for that child, not liking you, not wanting to be around you, and causing them to sneak out, i.e. me. Sneak out and do things that they are not ready to do, should not be doing. But again, this is not just a gay thing because the straight kids be doing it too. So, I mean,
parents, some of you are you're still asking the question. Well, so how do I raise them? You raise them the same way you raise. Well, I'm gonna say the same way because I'm not sure how you're raising your children. But the key is, and use the word, love them. Love them unconditionally and support them and build their self-esteem and stop thinking that their whole world exists in gayness. In other words, what gay activities can I take them to? That's not how the child thinks. The child ain't thinking about what gay activities. The child has shared with you one portion, a small portion of his life, and what you've done is made this small portion engulf him. Everything he does has to be gay, and that's totally untrue. And that's what's driving your children literally crazy.
yeah, I don't ever want to go nowhere gay function with my mama. If my mama probably told her I was 17 and still, okay, we are off to the pride parades tomorrow. I'd be like, oh, no, we're not. No. I just want you to, again, accept me for where I am, but we don't have to do these events. Being gay is a small facet of who anyone is.
Right.
Being a male, being a female, being a doctor, being, being black. Yes, black is my skin, but black is not the only thing that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am a brother, I'm a sister, I am an educator. There are so many things and so many components that make me. And like you said, Dr. Miles, they tell you that you're gay, and now you put this child in the gay bubble. Everything has to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
Some parents, and we're not going to, I guess we don't want to, I guess being over supportive is better than being under supportive.
Right.
But now some parents, we getting gay flags, we getting gay rainbows, we going to the march, we gonna do everything gay. That is not what the child is asking for. They didn't particularly ask for anything. They just said, hey, this is just me. Just FYI, I like boys. FYI, I like girls. They didn't ask you to take them anywhere, to do anything, but love me for who I am in the space in where I am now, and be there for me, because I'm gonna have questions. Because even though
go on.
I just say, even though I'm gay, 14, 10, I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So those same questions that you will have as a straight child about sex, about courting someone,
Exactly.
or dating, I'm going to have questions. And if I don't feel comfortable coming to you about just general questions about how do I treat a person, how do I do, mom, dad, what? If I don't feel comfortable coming to you, I'm going to go to someone else, and hopefully whoever I go to is a good individual, because there are predators and people like that take it, i.e. the person that you talked about earlier, that I'm going to put my child with this seemingly strong, straight man, and that's the same person that child slept with. So there are people that take advantage of people. So just in all of that being said, we just want you to love us for where we are.
What about the parent who says, somebody's at fault for this? Let's see how many gay people on my husband's side and how many gay people on my side. And whoever got the most gay people, they're the responsible for this child being the way he is.
I just need them to sit down somewhere. I just need them to sit down. I mean, look, if you got a problem with this, you take this up with your Lord and Savior, because I am a gift of His. He has gifted me to you in your job, that He said, okay, since you want to lay down and did what you did, here's a wonderful gift. And the gift is that you need to take care of this child up until, 17, 18 and whatnot, however old. That is your job. So if you got a problem with that, why looking at genetics of who is gay and who ain't gay and who did that? Okay, and that still ain't going to, that is your child. Love that child, because he is yours. He or she is your gift.
Exactly. Hey, listen, folks, we've run out of time. I want to thank you all for being with us for these 2 weeks. I want to thank you all, as Sebastian, I want to thank you for sharing this information with us. You've been absolutely wonderful. And audience, again, love your children to life. Love them to life. Again, we'll see you next week. Have a great week. And don't forget, buy those t-shirts and check out our website.